Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server looking at another vehicle for the next update, which is the Turm 3. This vehicle is a pre-order vehicle, so it's available on the Guardian store if you want to pick it up, and it's going to be at rank 5, a battle racing 8.0 for the Germans. So you'll find it in the tech tree right here. It'll be efficient at grinding out everything from rank 6 and below, so only these vehicles here, it won't be able to grind efficiently. It has on it 642 and also 405% on its rewards, but understand that can change before the major update comes out. But to be honest, that RP rate is insanely good. It's really nice on it. The Turm 3 is a very unique vehicle in many different areas, being one of those crazy prototypes that Germany made during an interesting period in their history when they were trying to work out what MBTs they wanted to go with. The Turm 3 is a mishmash of massively different ideas, which make it a really supremely interesting vehicle. So it has the standard L7, the L7A3, the 105mm, which is really nice. It also has a coaxial 30mm, which is kind of interesting. And the 30mm fires SAPI and HIT with a penetration of 53, 41, and 21mm. So basically, it can't pen a lot, but it'll be good, kind of like the 20mm from the French and stuff like that, to be able to take out barrels and tracks and all of that. Just kind of be a hindrance, but it doesn't have HBAP, thank God, so it won't be too crazy. When it comes to the 105mm though, it has access to APDS, HESH, and also DM12, so you can pretty much pick between the APDS and the Heat FS which one you have to use. I'm sure most of people will go for the Heat FS because of its general usefulness against the vast majority of vehicles that you will end up facing. The other thing as well is this machine has an autoloader for its L7A3, and this autoloader is kind of wacky. You can see here how the machine is actually set up, where it has this huge system on the, I suppose, left-hand side of it as you're looking at it, which holds all of the rounds. The actual vast majority of the turret is covered in ammunition, so it might be worth not bringing 47 rounds because you might have one of the biggest ammo racks in the game if you end up doing that. Instead, maybe take 20, and it will only cover this little bit instead of all of this gargantuan size here. What this does mean, though, is your first stage ammo stowage is the whole of your ammunition load, so you never have to worry about restocking it when it comes to this automatic loader. So that's pretty nice on the vehicle. And at the same time, when it comes to when it comes to the reload being 5 seconds, it means that you're going to have probably one of the best, if not the best, reloads around these BRs. I think there's a few vehicles knocking around with slightly low ones, maybe 4 seconds, but 5 seconds is definitely up there. It also has really good gun depression, mainly because the turret itself is super tall, so being able to aim down is really nice, so it doesn't have the same issues as stuff such as the French tanks with their turrets, the way that their autoloaders are set up. But when it comes to survivability, this doesn't really have any. You got the driver in the front, and then you got the commander and the gunner hugging on the right hand side here, meaning that killing the gunner will always kill the commander, unless you have really rough post-penetration or no velocity, left on the rounds being fired. The commander does have fire controls though, so that's pretty cool, I suppose. And also, there's a commander's optics on this vehicle with ridiculous zoom in the form of 20 times if you actually want to use it. And the other thing as well, so obviously we talked about the offensive armaments on this. The defense is a bit laughable. The survivability of this thing, as we've already seen, is not very good. And the actual defense of this, I mean, you're looking at 30mm of armor on the upper glacis and lower glacis. I'm sure it'll somehow be able to bounce some rounds anyway. And on the turret face, it's 20mm. So we're looking at something which is super rough. when it comes to the vehicle itself. It also has 30mm in this semicircle here, and the 35 for the gun. So through the side, it only has 20mm of armor, so you're going to be able to pen it with a bunch of cannons and even some machine guns through the side. So survivability is not good on this thing at all, so it's definitely all-out offense on this machine. You can see even on the back here, 20mm once again. So for this, what I would say is it's very similar to the Lorraine in that fact. So its actual defense is really bad, but its offense is fantastic. So if you play this thing aggressive and you get in there and you get a bunch of kills, you're going to put your team in a really, really good position. There is a massive piece of rolled homogeneous armor in the center of the turret for some reason, and this is just kind of sat here, just not really doing too much. And then also with the two-plane stabilizer, it should be easy to be able to get the gun on target in any situation. Technically, this vehicle has a 3-plane stabilizer, not a 2-plane one, but I'm not sure Gaijin is actually going to model it like that, because it would be very unique in that regard. The 3-plane stabilizer means that it is stable not just from the vertical and horizontal idea, but also from the roll point of things. So if this thing is on or going up an incline, or going along the side of a hill at an angle and that angle changes, then that will also be stabilized, that movement, instead of just the up and down, which is very interesting. At the same time, this thing is powered by an 856 horsepower engine being 40 tons, so it's not as fast as it could be, but it's fast enough. It still can motor about the place, even with that excess weight of the prototype ideas on it. So that is something to generally think about. That it's not the fastest vehicle at this BR, but it's definitely not the slowest. It's in the higher echelon for that stuff, so that aggressive nature that I talked about before could work really, really well. It doesn't have access to anything like NVDs or, thermals or anything like that, but at 8.0, that's kind of sparse apart from on light vehicles, where it seems to be abundant. And also, at the same time, when we look at the general vehicle itself, it doesn't have access to some other things that would have been really nice, like smokes, for example. This vehicle doesn't have access to any smokes at all. It also doesn't have any access to a rangefinder or a laser rangefinder either. So you're going to have to guesstimate with the L7, which isn't too hard to do because the Heat FS has, 1173 meters per second. And also, if you screw up the round, well, you got another one coming in 5 seconds. So, it's not too hard to deal with in the general use of things. So for me, this vehicle is looking really fun, and also one that if you're interested in grinding through the German tech tree, I think it might be worth having a look at. It doesn't give a similar experience compared to other vehicles around, because it has access to some weird and wonky mechanics, but it does definitely give up a lot of stuff for that. So as we said, survivability, smoke grenades, laser, rangefinder, or just rangefinder, it doesn't have any of that. But with the coaxial 30, which has a really, really long fire rate on it, and also with the 5-second reload, the Heat FS Slinger, there's a lot of things to really like about this vehicle, and the gun depression also being one of them, which is fantastic. So for me, I would actually definitely look at this vehicle as one which would give a different experience to a lot of stuff you're going to find in the German tech tree, and at the same time, if you're not interested in something like an L44, which goes on sale like multiple times a year at 9.0, this wouldn't be a terrible fit for people to grind through the German tech tree with. I wish personally that these unique vehicles weren't, premiums generally, but at the same time, if it's going to be premium or not added to the game, I'd rather it be a premium vehicle itself. You can see the mobility is still good, it's just not the best around, being on what is a heightened Leopard chassis. I'm hoping that people enjoy this one. I'm a little bit worried that it may start taking over games, because the Heat will be good enough to be able to go through everything, and then we'll see the rise of the T55AM again to be dealing with these guys. But that's something that we'll see once we get there. Overall, it's looking like a super fun vehicle, and definitely one that I would personally pick up. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Merciless Reaper, Jerry Provolt, Mega Dino King, Professor X1718, Orangetail, Sakoshi Tiger, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, Moxie, B. Young, and Derek R., Barine, Lafouche, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.